to highlight women within the credit union movement and women as heads of organizations within the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions. We are honored to welcome Ms. Melisa Edwards-Boutin. She is the General Manager of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Cooperative League Limited. Denise Garfield is the General Manager of the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, and Shermaine Bodley, Sales and Branch Manager at the CUNA Caribbean Insurance, OECS Limited. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to Good Morning, SKN.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Oh, our pleasure indeed. So I am going to start off right away with your current position, your degrees, and your journey to get where you all are presently. Melisa?
Sure. Well, my background is actually in civil engineering. So I am a graduate of the Bastia High School. And after that, I had made up in my mind that, I want to be a civil engineer. So I attended the University of Miami and then completed my bachelor's at Texas A&M after transferring there, and went on to actually do a master's in civil engineering to get more training in geotechnical engineering, which is another specialty. From there, I entered the career field in the US, where I worked on many different projects that utilize my degrees very well. But over time, I had some other interests that I wanted to explore, which was finance. And I took time away from my engineering career to explore working in the financial field. At the same time, I started the journey to cross-train and pursue education in advanced financial planning. And as part of that journey, of course, I'm here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I returned home and I explored working in the finance field, and I'm here today at the St. Kitts League, St. Kitts and Nevis National League.
Congratulations on your achievement. Ms. Denise?
Well, my journey started 23 years ago with the credit union sector in Jamaica. About probably 15, 17 years ago. I was at the Jamaica League, basically doing different things. Started out as a research analyst, then went on to business development, then went on to corporate planning, events planning, and my journey now is with the General Manager, Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions.
Nice. And Ms. Shermaine, your turn.
Yes, so I started my career in banking over 24 years ago. I started at the Bank of St. Lucia back home. I started as the clerk typist and moved up through the ranks. I left in 2019 as the assistant manager of operations. I joined the Bank of Nevis in 2019 as the operations manager. And subsequent to that, I felt I needed to diversify my career. Being in banking, I've done so much, and I got the opportunity to become the sales and branch manager of insurance. So even now, when I tell persons insurance, they're like, "Wow, transition, total 360," and I said yes. And I believe it will have me get to a place where I'm more marketable, I am more well-rounded because I have the banking, I have the finance, and now I'm into sales, which we do daily, but as a career, I'm into sales. These things were made possible through my education. I have my bachelor's in banking and finance, and I have my master's in finance. So now I'm transitioning to sales.
Well accomplished, ladies. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so we've talked about your journey. I'm curious to know what you consider to be the most, let's say, important accomplishments or achievements as you look back on your journeys. Let's start with you, Melisa.
I think I'm still working on that pinnacle, but so far on my journey, I would say, my accomplishments so far, or what I reflect on, is just I guess, tuning into my own desires to not be locked into one career, and recognize that the skills that I have in a very technical field, can transition and can position me to contribute, to the finance sector and the credit union movement.
So no limits.
Yes.
I like that.
All right, and Lady Denise.
Jenny, let me tell you. I guess having been in the sector for over 20 odd years, I've seen the growth right across the Caribbean. I didn't actually see myself as a general manager 7 years ago, but basically I think the accomplishment for me was that we, right here in St. Kitts, when we had our headquarters built, that was a major accomplishment for the entire credit union sector in the Caribbean. We struggled, to basically get funding, and we were able to accomplish that after, I think it was about probably 10 years that we struggled. But I think that was one of my major accomplishments, and to see the institution grow. As an individual now, I would say that my journey was good. Never had any challenges per se. Pretty much a stable background, good mentors. I always believe in women supporting women. I didn't have that probably in my early stages while in my early professional life. And as such, I made it a duty to ensure that all women who report to me or work with me, that they excel.
Oh, that's so great and noble. How do you follow that?
Okay, apart from my two lovely kids, who are my greatest accomplishments, continue to make me proud. I would say my main accomplishment is just setting goals, not being stagnant, looking for something always bigger and better. And when those goals are set, achieving it. And I've done so, as previously said, in a lot of areas in my professional and personal life.
So, Ms. Shermaine, I'll continue with you. So we're going to speak on what significance this day has for you, and I will also ask that you incorporate the theme, which is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality.
National Women's Day is, of course, very important to me as a woman who has gone through some challenges, not many, but throughout life, everybody has their challenges, whether personal or professional. And it's a day set aside where women could be recognizing the fields that we are, the fields that we would like to be part of, and also we see a lot of areas. I mean, in most of my employment, I see a lot of managers being women, and I am pleased to see that, to see we are at the helm and we can make decisions for the future. We're not setting aside the men, but we are saying we are here also, and we could provide the same support and the same guidance that you can. And so this is very important that we are here as three professional women who have accomplished our goals, and we are ready to serve. And as it relates to digital and the theme, for me, I'm very keen on having digital parts of our economy and everything that we do. But I would like to see some more women. I noticed the three ladies before us. I was very pleased to hear them and see that we have that goal and we are getting there. But even with digital media, with technology, IT, we still see the men dominating. Again, we don't want to bash them, we don't want to step on them, but we want to be part and inclusive. Yes. And that's what I want to see more of us get into that field. Thank you.
Denise?
Well, interestingly, at my organization, I encourage all the youngsters. We have a lot of youngsters within the movement, and I encourage them that they must use technology, they must be familiar with it. But I think based on where we are globally, I think it won't be that much of a challenge for women. I think we are more inclusive than we were centuries ago, decades ago. And I think the reality is that there's recognition of such, and it is just for us to hone it And I think with that, we basically can effectively achieve what we want to achieve.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so the significance of the day, and speak a little bit on what the theme means to you as well.
Okay. So I think International Women's Day is significant and an opportunity not only to celebrate women's accomplishments, but their needs and the path that they still need to chart. As far as the theme, I think it is very relevant to today, even in our sector, the credit union sector, and the financial sector more broadly. We are kind of at a crossroads where we are moving forward to try to transform digitally. We've seen leadership from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. We've seen the digital EC dollar. This is a path forward, for women and for all our citizens. In particular, when it comes to women, there are unique challenges that we face. We make up a large percentage of the working population, and having digital transformation and tools when it comes to finances, I think will empower women even more. Whether it's the person who is a vendor or people working 9 to 5, having those digital tools in the financial space will only empower women more.
I like that.
There is an elephant in the room sometimes when we talk about successful women, professional women. And I have to ask you now, if being a professional woman, if you've ever encountered any challenges, have you been discriminated against? Did you feel that way because of your gender? And if so, how did you deal with that? Shermaine.
I would say not that I know, but if I had to experience it, similar to any other challenges where you have to overcome something, because the stigma may not necessarily be being a female, but could be for some other reason. I would simply basically show what I have to offer and ensure that the other person or persons realize, hey, it's not because she's a woman, it's not because she's black, it's not because she's a foreigner, but she's able to provide and commit to the point at hand. And that's how I would deal with it.
I can appreciate that. Ms. Denise?
Can I say that I've never experienced that. I've heard about it, I have, but I've not experienced it in my 20-odd years.
I'm grateful that you haven't, by the way.
Yes, I haven't.
Melisa?
So to my mind, I haven't been discriminated because of my gender, being a woman. However, I would say being a woman in a profession, and I have been, and I am in a male-dominated, both engineering and finance, navigating it as a woman is different when you are in sectors that are very male-dominated for many years, before my grandmother's time coming to present. There's a male-centric kind of work culture that you're entering sometimes, and because of that history, it may not be direct, at the women employees or engineers or finance person, but that culture doesn't really think about how do women fit in, how do they socially fit into our social activities, or a practice of maybe promoting based on those male relationships more so than looking at a measurable performance. Those are some of the things that I have witnessed as a woman in a professional career. And those are things that women who are navigating their own career should be aware of, and reach out to get mentored and have sponsors and people who can help them navigate it. We can't change it individually, but we can recognize it and find a way to navigate it.
I like that. I think I'd like to add to that. I think the Caribbean credit union movement and globally the credit union movement is about helping people helping people. I think because of our core values and our principles also, you find that that discrimination doesn't exist because of our principles. I would say though that at the board level, we still have that balance to get to in terms of male female, but generally I would say that across the Caribbean movement that we have a lot of female general managers, a lot of female employees, and that discrimination I would say doesn't exist because of our main principles. At the global level, we also have Global Women's Leadership Network, where women are able to tap into that network to assist them, to help them to grow, etc. But I think because of our principles as a credit union sector, right here in the Federation, we have 3 women of the 4 credit unions, 3 are headed by women. And we as 3 supporting organizations also help them to achieve their goals.
Glad that you added that bit. Really does give a better perspective to the reality here.
So with that said, Ms. Garfield, do you think there are enough women in leadership roles here in Nevis? Okay.
We have the rose among the thorns, which is Nevis. No disrespect to Sydney, but basically, yes, we have 3 very strong women that head the credit union movement. Ms. Dawn Williams, as you know, well, they would have been here, but unfortunately they had other engagements. Ms. Dawn Williams, who is head of First Federal Credit Union, Melisa Phillips, who is at Police Credit Union, Janet Harris, who is at St. Kitts Co-operative Credit Union. So I would say yes, definitely we have that balance.
Your perspective from the Caribbean, perhaps?
Caribbean, as Denise has mentioned, yes, I believe we do have that balance. We probably still have a long way to go, but we're getting there. The women have realized the potential, and they're now placing themselves in the roles and accepting the roles. Again, previously, persons would have said CEOs and chairmen of board would be male-dominated. And a woman may shy away from that, but right now you're seeing the women taking up the challenge and placing themselves in those positions. As it relates to Senkers, for the short time I've been here and of what you have heard, I believe we are getting there. Like Denise said, the credit union sector, we could see it here. The banks, we need to touch more on there. We do have our first female governor general, so that is good, and that's the helm. Yeah. So I guess from that, we could see that we are able. So maybe the next police commissioner, like back home, will be a female. Yeah.
Melisa, anything to add?
Well, I'm still waiting on the first female prime minister. That's what I would add.
That's next. Up next.